everybody, welcome back to the MarsTV Dota 2 League, where the Dota action keeps on rolling. We've got our last two-game series of the day coming up. It's LGD Gaming versus Ehome, and I'm excited to be here bringing you coverage on behalf of MarsTV. LGD on a little bit of a hot streak so far, currently 7-1 in the qualifier here for the MDL, so looking really solid at the moment. And looking to push themselves even further ahead here, netting a win against Ehome. I believe Ehome are yet to play, so this is their first appearance here in the MDL. And yeah, currently sitting at a 0-0 record overall. In terms of other teams, Newbie are now 2-2. Hyperglory team are 3-3. So LGD really one of the teams making the strongest bid for their place in the top two and their place in the playoffs as well. If you want to catch all of the coverage in-game, guys, don't forget the ticket is available. I think it's $6 and there's a Warlock set thrown in. You get all of the qualifier games and all of the LAN playoff actions, so pretty decent value there. And with all those introductions out of the way, let's get ourselves right into the nitty-gritty of this draft. We've got LGD over on the Radiant side. They're going to be getting rid of Belina and the Shadow Fiend, and Ehome will be getting rid of Undying and the Lion. If Ehome would like, they could pick up the Spirit Breaker here, but actually seems like a lot of discussion going on as nobody's disconnected. I'm checking the chat right now, and they're already down to about 30 seconds of reserve time remaining, so it looks like RTK consulting his team a little bit as to what exactly they're going to get up to here. Yeah, but we shall see. I don't know what's going on. Okay, they're just going to pick Rubik. I think the question is whether or not they want Spirit Breaker. Earthshaker's still there as well. I think if you pick the Spirit Breaker, you probably have to pick the Earthshaker as well, just because Fissure is such a good way to cancel Spirit Breaker charges, whether or not he's initiating on you, or trying to escape, or just randomly charging across the map. But instead they are just going to take the Rubik and then grab the SB, so if LGD would like the Earthshaker, he is more than available for them to get their hands on here. Rubik, I don't think all that amazing against Gyrocopter. In general, call down is going to be pretty well covered by non-stop rocket barrages, and can be a little bit difficult to get value out of both the rocket barrage and the flak cannon if you're Rubik. So Gyrocopter a bit of a mixed bag, but for LGD the question is now how they want to respond back to the Spirit Breaker. Again, this is probably going to be your one position Gyrocopter for Sylar, and I think we're probably going to be seeing one of the two supports coming up here as the secondary pick, unless there's something that they really want as a core potentially for maybe. And LGD, Gyrocopter can take them in all kinds of different directions. Draft-wise, we could be looking at that more Dragon Knight-centered push kind of strategy. The Visage is still in the pool if they want to end up going for that. Or what else? What else have we seen them run? They've always hinted at least had the present threat there of being able to go for a more early game, more push, more tower-oriented strategy, and then by keeping their options open, they can always seem to tack into a much more late game lineup as well. So that is something that I think Ehome are going to have to be a little bit worried about here. Other thing to mention for LGD is that they have played a couple of games so far today, and I think for a team like them, that's only really going to serve as warm-up. I don't think there's a whole lot of fatigue to talk about. These guys are used to playing long, extended, high-pressure series, so 6 games in a single day does not seem like the most ridiculous thing for them here.
10 seconds remaining.
So I think that's only an advantage for them. Meanwhile, LGD are just going to be... What is that noise?
Turn to ban.
I think it's like a street sweeper outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but... Alright, anyway, so we've got the Enchantress as the ban out here from LGD. Bounty Hunter also going to end up being removed, as Ehome do end up getting rid of that Dragon Knight, so maybe not going to be able to get his hands on that one. Ehome probably still need to be a little bit worried about the Storm Spirit, but the Spirit Breaker and the Rubik do offer pretty good control of the Storm in general, so they've at least got that going for them. And Ehome don't have a whole lot of time to be making these decisions here, as they've already worked their way down to 6 seconds of of reserve time. You guys can't see that because I didn't get around to editing the overlay. But yeah, 6 seconds of reserve time remaining for Ehome and 110 remaining for LGD. So Ehome did definitely take a very long time considering those first 2 picks. And they are actually going to end up going for the Visage themselves. Banning out the Brewmaster, so sort of banning out your more active and early mids here for LGD, and let's see what that's going to end up funneling them towards. The Shadow Fiend's already been banned out.
10 seconds
I feel like the Storm Spirit could still be alright, but if LGD are taking it, they're definitely not taking it this pick. We've also seen maybe on Puck a couple of times, and we've talked at length about the number of synergies just between Gyrocopter and Puck, so I think that could be a potential grab here. But then the question becomes if Xiaoid is happy with having a solo mid Puck, and what exactly they're going to be doing with the offlane. It could still be the offlane Earthshaker as well for Yao, so they've got options to pick up other supports if they feel like there's something that's going to be particularly adept this game, but we'll have to see. It does end up being the Puck. They've got multiple different ways to run this. The Earthshaker can be a support. They can kind of get away with that because they've got the Gyrocopter as their one position, so even with a melee support should still be able to control the Spirit Breaker in the offlane decently well. And then Earthshaker, Puck, support, offlane, mid, offlane. Definitely lots of different ways for LGD to arrange this, and can keep their options open in terms of if they think there's any great heroes remaining in the pool. Ehome going to be continuing the trend that we've seen so far today, as they do end up grabbing the Lifestealer for themselves this time around. There's no Razor just yet from LGD, but I get the feeling they were probably keeping an eye on that last game. We'll see if they can maybe squeeze it in. Razor would have to be run mid, or Gyrocopter would have to be run mid in that situation, so that could be a little bit tough. And we have seen the Lifestealer be, despite the pretty lackluster performance in the last game, I think Lifestealer has in general been a pretty good hero for the teams that have been picking it so far this competition, and just a good way to be able to actually fight against the Gyrocopter early. That's really what we're seeing, is unless your cores have built-in magic immunity or are able to build up a BKB pretty quickly, you just can't fight the Gyrocopter. The Rocket Barrage and the Calden are just too crazy in the early game team fights, and if you can't fight the Gyro, then this team is going to take all of your tier 1 towers, build up a 4 or 5k net worth lead, and then you're fighting an uphill battle for the rest of the game from that point. So it looks like Ehome are just gearing themselves up to be active, aggressive, and able to fight at a moment's notice. They've obviously got the Spirit Breaker as the Lifestealer infest target to be able to get around the map and set up ganks that way. And for LGD, the question is how exactly they want to deal with this Lifestealer. They grab a Shadow Shaman to begin with, so get some pretty solid lockdown there. They didn't have a whole lot of tower damage just yet in the lineup either, so Master Burward's going to help cover a little bit of that. I think you're pretty unlikely to get too many Master Serpent Ward traps down this game, especially on the Lifestealer. He's going to be buying Phase Boots. Spirit Breaker often going to be able to charge his way out. The support's a little bit more vulnerable, but unless you're going for a solo kill, you're probably not ward trapping one of the supports. Razor does end up being the ban here from Ehome. Looks like they're going to pay due respect to that hero now that they've got the Lifestealer picked up. And LGD, what are they going to ban out? So Ehome is still just looking for a mid. What is even left? There's a Magnus, but I don't think he's all that impressive.
5 seconds remaining.
Okay, Templar Assassin's going to be the ban.
Dire team pick.
Probably not all that impressive a Templar Assassin game either, but at least better than the previous series was. So all right, ban there. And for Ehome, still 20-something seconds to decide on what this pick is going to end up being, but Puck is pretty fierce on mid lane now. They could pick Queen of Pain if they wanted, but I feel like that's a winning matchup for Puck. But okay, they are going to end up going for the Quap. It's another Lifestealer vehicle. It is really good burst against the Gyrocopter. Being able to have that Sonic Wave going through BKB is always going to be a good way to deal with him. As much as I called it a winning matchup for Puck, it's only by a little bit, in all honesty. It's just more that the Puck has the kill threat on the Queen of Pain, and the Queen of Pain doesn't really have the same in return if the puck plays it smart. The Spirit Breaker charges or some ganks from Rubik could end up tipping that equation a little bit, but by the same token, there's Earthshaker counter initiation and there's Shadow Shaman ganks potentially coming in from LGD. So they are going to look down their list of favorable heroes against Lifestealer, and they are going to end up grabbing themselves a Doom, which is going to be handled offlane by Yao this game. Also great to have, of course, against the Queen of Pain. Spirit Breaker doesn't really care too much about getting doomed. He's a tanky mofo, so shouldn't be too much of a problem for him, but not a hero that we've seen a heck of a lot of recently. The couple of times that I've seen a last pick Doom, it's actually been run as the one position on the safe lane, being able to rush up that Blink Aghanim Scepter ASAP. So it's going to be a little bit slower for the Doom here this game. The other somewhat problem for LGD is that they've got the Shadow Shaman and the Earthshaker as support, so they're probably only going to be able to get a Blink Dagger up on one of them, but the new changes to recovery gold for your poorest hero should be able to get the ES sort of back. Anyway, that's assuming that the Shadow Shaman is going to be given the farm priority to be able to pick up the Blink Dagger this game, so we shall have to see how things end up playing out. But jumping ourselves into this game, our final two-game series of the evening for the MarsTV DoTA 2 League, LGD versus Ehome. Over on the side of LGD, we've got Yao on Doom, we've got Xiao8 on the Earthshaker. Just a couple clarities and a censure word at the moment for him. Maybe is going to be on Puck. Sylar on the Gyrocopter, holding onto some gold for some boots first, and MMY over on the Shadow Shaman is also going to be grabbing some boots first. So they have very little regen between them at the moment. I think there's a grand total of 3 sets of tangos between 5 heroes. Puck is asking for a second tango, but probably won't be able to get it because Sylar has already given him one of his. And I don't know if MMY is willing to part with one of his, so we'll see. They just definitely need to camp out this bounty rune for maybe if they can. They come down expecting a early rotation out of Ehome, looking to get something done, but looks like it won't be able to find anything here. So over on Ehome we have Lamb on the Rubik, we've got ROTK handling the Spirit Breaker, DDC will be the Visage, we've got CU on the Lifestealer, and Virgo on the Queen of Pain. And that should be, what, CTY and ZYF, respectively. Bottom rune going to end up going to the Queen of Pain. Yao sitting on the bounty rune top. Looks like he is going to be passing it over to Maybe, so equalizing mid lane a little bit there. And Shadow Shaman did end up parting with one of his tangos, so it looks like Maybe is going to get a little bit of priority there. Just chopping up some extra tangos to be shipped out right this second. And Queen of Pain doing the same, but CTY picking up a salve here. So it should be pretty interesting to see how this mid lane matchup goes. I do give the edge to the Puck, but it's only very slight, and if CTY finds a little opportunity, can definitely flip the lane on its head. Ehome choosing to go for an aggressive tri-lane here into the Gyrocopter, but Shadow Shaman, not the most amazing tri-lane versus tri-lane support, did get the strength buffs in the recent patch, which I think helps him out a little bit, means that he can even sit channeling a Shackles and not be in as much trouble, but Ehome putting the pressure on early here. And they've got the Visage, who is really the king of tri-lane versus tri-lane. That does mean that they leave the Doom with open farm on the top lane, and that could come back to bite them a little bit, since I don't think they're really going to be able to totally lock down the bottom lane. By going aggressive, they do keep the supports pinned here, and they're going to make sure that everybody on LGD from the tri-lane is relatively low level, which is going to make the Spirit Breaker ganks even more effective, since he's going to get a super fast level 6. So it is somewhat similar to... Okay, looks like the stutter is not just... Yeah, this is not... It was not just the previous game. It is the Perfect World servers at the moment, so we're going to have a little bit of a pause. But yeah, so it's very similar to having... What some teams used to do is go aggressive with a... solo safe lane Centaur. This is a strat that a couple of teams used to run, and solo safe lane Centaur gets to level 6 really, really quickly. The tri-lane versus tri-lane is locked in Mortal Kombat. There probably hasn't been any kills. Both teams are playing pretty defensively, and then Centaur hits the big red button, and you claim a triple because you've got the Stampede damage and the Stampede move speed. So, similar kind of idea here for the SB. same exact thing as having, say, a solo safe lane Nature's Prophet. You throw the Wrath of Nature, you TP in, you wipe out the tri-lane, and it ends up being totally worth it, the fact that you sacrificed a little bit of farm on your carry because you went for the aggressive tri-lane option. So kind of expecting to see something similar to that out of the SB this game. Is a little bit more obvious because he doesn't have the instant way to get down there, so if he's missing from the lane, Yao is definitely going to call it out, but I mean, LGD can't really afford to go and sit underneath their tier 1 tower whenever the Spirit Breaker is off the map. But we have more lag, which is somewhat saddening. Looks like we're just gonna have to wait around a little bit. We could try and remake, but I don't know if that's gonna help all that much, and at this point we would probably have to reload from save. Maybe we're far enough in that you could justify not reloading from save, but all the ward placement and everything else do count for a lot, so I don't know what's gonna happen here. We'll see. Doom, not even that far ahead of the Spirit Breaker up in this top lane. Neither of them can really harass the other. So I think it's just going to be a farm trade here. The base damage advantage is the Spirit Breaker, but yeah, he's already got his Bassi picked up, so it gets that +6 damage out of nowhere. And I think he's got the slightly better attack animation on the whole. Meanwhile, mid 7-0 for maybe, and we've got CTY at 7-3, so looking pretty good for him there. And a bit of discussion going back and forth as to what exactly we're doing. DDC's got a Magic Stick picked up, pretty standard fare for your tri-lane versus tri-lane Visage. MMY also with the Magic Stick. And the fact that LGD were running so tight on regen is actually going to come back to bite them a little bit in terms of how this tri-lane versus tri-lane is being run. You've got a Lifestealer with Tangos and a Healing Salve, along with a Stout Shield being more than ready to trade hits and be just fine, but at the very least, Sylar held his gold and didn't buy boots. If he bought the boots, then I don't think they save him, but able to pick up a wand, gets another salve ferried out, and I think this at least puts him in a slightly better position for the tri-lane versus tri-lane. So it does look like LGD had at least considered the fact that this could end up being try-v-try, and Sylar kind of adjusting his game plan accordingly. So pretty smart play from him there. But Ehome's still doing really well in all three of these lanes at the moment. So while I was talking about the Spirit Breaker as being that tri-lane versus tri-lane X-Factor, the Queen of Pain and the Puck definitely possess the same potential as well. So maybe in CTY probably looking for opportunities to sneak away from this mid lane and go and get something done, but looks like for the time being just going to continue farming up. 2-minute rune, one of them was already camped at down bottom lane. This bounty is still actually there over on the top side, and it looks like couriers both going to be bringing out the bottles at around the same time. We're going to see who can actually afford to up their couriers at the moment. It's going to be a little bit of a question. We've got some harassment thrown onto the Queen of Pain, but she's still got that salve up her sleeve, so it looks like it can be just fine as the bottles do end up arriving. But who can up couriers? Rubik can't, DDC can't, so it looks like courier's going to remain walking for the time being, though. No, CTY does manage to make his way up and grab that bounty, so nice little snag for him, and unfortunately maybe now a bit behind on the overall regen war for this mid lane. What have we got on the Queen of Pain? Not going for the second point in the Shadow Strike, just going for a little bit more Scream here. Some people do still get the second point of Shadow Strike against Puck anyway, because you blink in and then you Scream, and sometimes people will phase shift dodge the Scream, and then you can land the two-point Shadow Strike. But a little bit of a different approach here from CTY. LGD did manage to unblock their pole camp for a little bit, but Ehome's still going to run over as a 3-hero squad just to make sure that LGD aren't running any pulls or pulls through. Earthshaker, unfortunately, not the most amazing tri-lane versus tri-lane hero either, just because he's amazing at level 1, and then all of the extra experience that you put into him doesn't really do a heck of a lot, so LGD just kind of scraping by here. 11 CS on the Gyrocopter, 18 CS on the Lifestealer. All three lanes doing fantastically for Ehome at the moment, actually. And as much as Doom is getting decent farm, he's a Doom. He's still going to need to get another 2k, 3k gold before it can actually get something done. Maybe phase shift dodges both the Scream and the Shadow Strike there, so nice little bit of play from him with the phase shift. Didn't even really need to jaunt away, but just assumed that CTY saw some kind of opportunity. His bottle is going to be flying out once again in just a second. His magic stick is a little bit later to the lane, so CTY does have the one charge to play around with at the moment. And when you're talking about players like these, it's all going to come down to the tiniest little things. Sylar gets fishing up on bottom lane, the Soul Assumption comes in, those wand charges keeping him alive for the time being, and MMY able to drop down the shackles and turn things around. Meanwhile, over on mid lane, missed the kill, CTY. I think that single magic stick charge may have made the difference as he squeaks out on like 10 HP there. Yeah, Puck just not quite enough damage in the combo. And Puck not even getting any of his wand charges off at the end of the day, so CTY, they trade ultimates, but he's going to come out the better at the end of that. And not the best continuation for maybe here on the mid lane. He's also trailing on CS, so I think some of that is the fact that CTY managed to get the unanswered rune top, but still I think also outplaying maybe a little bit in general. What have we got going on regen-wise bottom lane? MMY, this time around, he's going to be the one jumped. Sylar can't do anything with the Rocket Barrage, he just yet needs to wait things out. MMY unable to turn around with the shackles, but still dealing decent damage, but ROTK now charging his way down. He's got the Nether Strike ready, and even the Queen of Pain arriving to lay waste to this defensive tri-lane down bot, as LGD will lose an additional 2 heroes and are now trailing 0-3. I think we've got a pretty substantial lead for Ehome. 6 minutes into this game, 1k net worth and 1k experience. Definitely looking good at the moment. And how do LGD recover from this? Earthshaker can't really move around too much and get things done. Shadow Shaman's still a relatively low level. And it does kind of fall to the doom, but he's not going to be able to start turning things around for a little while here. Sorry, a bit of a... I gotta sneeze. Okay, I'm good. A little bit more stutter here and there, but looks like still pretty playable for the time being. Ehome tri-lane support's actually at a pretty decent level 4 up on the Visage. Lifestealer now at the Poor Man's Shield. And some phase boots. Very, very difficult to deal with, and they're going to come around the corner and spot out MMY. He is dead. 100%. Another easy kill going Ehome's way there. And I'm just going to continue swinging over towards mid. Ehome taking this early game advantage and seizing it by the throat. Really keeping the pressure on LGD at all times. Sylar has picked up a Bracer, but not the farm that we are accustomed to seeing on this gyrocopter. And the support options from, well, the support selections from LGD actually really being the thing that comes back to bite them in the butt here. Maybe he's got his Dreamcoil back off cooldown. He's got a TP scroll at the ready, so there's a bit of counter initiation potential there from him. Yao, he's gonna step away from top lane for a second to come and get a little bit of farm over in the jungle. Is RTK just gonna go and grab a little bit more farm himself, and Ehome just still exerting total control over the map for the time being. Maybe looking for a little bit of a punish. ZOIF and Lamb both coming over here, but the rest of the Ehome squad not too far away, and Spirit Breaker making his move, charging his way in, was looking towards MMY there, but looks like his team is not too keen to commit all the way into Radiant territory for that kill, so they are just going to end up backing off. Gyrocopter just about to grab his level 6, so call down definitely going to be a very big deal in these upcoming couple of team fights, but Queen of Pain looking pretty good right now. Up to level 8, has picked up a Robe of the Magi, so it looks like it might just end up being an Orchid for your co-op here. I mean, well, top lane, RTK actually gets the bash out onto Yao, only needs one more, I think, to get this kill. And what do you know, RTK with the RNG, gonna get the solo kill. Yao is none too impressed. It was charge into bash, into Nether Strike, into the last bash that he needed. And if he hadn't got that bash on that auto attack, I think the Scorched Earth probably gets him out of range. In fairness, Charge of Darkness was going to be coming back off cooldown relatively quickly, but maybe was en route with a Dreamcoil ready, so... Anyway, RTK, the RNG Lord, is going to come up pretty big there. Ehome, meanwhile, two-man smoke looping around from the side. Sylar in big trouble. Will be able to drop the call down, but I don't think he's going to survive through this one. Soul Assumption slices through. He's already used the stick charges, and Yao and MMY come in looking for a little bit of a turnaround. But it looks like the creep is going to end up being the vehicle here for the lifesteal. He's going to pop out and say hello to MMY. LGD committing to get at least the one kill here, but in comes CTY with the Sonic Wave. And looks like Yao with the Shadow Strike will end up going down once again. Diving in underneath the tower, but there's no help forthcoming from LGD. They know that the puck TP top recently, and he's not going to be able to participate. Double kill for CTY, and an 8-for-1 lead for Ehome as we pass the 10-minute mark. Almost 4K net worth the lead, and 3K experience. They are totally dominating this early game at the moment. Puck picks up a lot of little items, finishes up the magic wand, completes the power treads, so Blink Dagger going to take quite some time to be completed, and they're ready the first Oblivion staff over on the Queen of Pain. This is looking really nasty for LGD this game. I mean, if Quap gets to this Orchid even at a similar timing to the puck getting the blink, it's going to make life so hard for Maybe in every single one of these fights. Doom dying bottom lane, still getting some progress towards the mech. Looks like Yao just going to take the more team-oriented approach to trying to drag this game back, but I don't see Ehome relinquishing their lead too easily. Ehome, RTK top lane, already has his Ogre Club up, so he can start working towards a BKB pretty quickly. Invisible Queen of Pain lurking around. Earthshaker Smoke is going to end up being revealed. He's got a Sentry Ward to place down, and is going to end up spotting the co-op. Do they have enough to get this kill? No, easily able to jump over, breaks the coil, and will live to fight another day. That's also the coil used, notably, so that's on cooldown for 80 seconds for LGD, and that means Ehome. I don't think they're even breathing a sigh of relief. They can just go hit buildings and be totally unconcerned, though. I'm not sure that's much of a difference from when the Dream Coil was actually off cooldown. Sylar's trying to grab some farm top, but does actually still need to respect RTK at the moment. This could have been a decent game for... Could have been a decent game for a Blade Mail on the Spirit Breaker, but given that you're up against the Earthshaker, I think the BKB is probably the right choice. Just to make sure that you are guaranteeing the follow-through on your charge. MMY and Zhao, another smoke up, hoping to get some pickoffs and start dragging the game back that way, but Lifesteal already picking up some items, and is that... What's he got getting delivered? Just the drum at the moment. Double damage is going to be picked up by Maybe. They get the shackles over onto CTY. Can he survive here? No, one less auto attack. Seals the deal. We've got the Nether Strike coming in as well, but looks like Zhao will still be brought down. One last auto attack from Lamb. Maybe jumping in. Nice deny coming out onto the Spirit Breaker, but LGD still fighting a bunch of kills. Buyback from CTY rejoining this fight. He's got the Sonic Wave available and looking for a little bit of a turnaround. Puck escaping off to the side. Gonna try and TP his way out. Will he be able to? Maybe just barely escaping. And 2k gold, his prize for that one. CTY with the buyback. That's gonna set him back a bunch. And not even getting anything out of it. LGD finding pretty much the perfect teamfight opportunity there. Spirit Breaker does end up being denied, so not everything going perfect for LGD, but they've got their mech on their Spirit. They've got the mech on the Doom now. And that's pretty much the Blink Dagger completed on the Puck as well. Out of that double kill for Maybe. Yeah, they lost Earthshaker, but big whoop. They got a bunch of gold and a bunch of experience, and that's going to be the beginnings of a little bit of a comeback here for LGD. There's still a glyph available for this tier 1 tower. Not going to end up being used, as Maybe just tries to deny, but won't be able to get it. So Ehome getting a little bit of their own back there, but yeah, still showing that LGD have some fight left in them. And despite how that early game went, Sylar, I think, was pretty much... did he participate in that fight? I feel like maybe came in a little bit towards the end. He's just picked up some power trades, just trying to tank up as best he can. Still not looking all that impressive in terms of net worth. But at least they've got this Puck Blink Dagger, they've got the Doom Mech, and they've got a couple of ingredients to start throwing together some team fights and dragging the game back that way. In terms of vision, Dire no longer have the supremacy that they did before either, just the single Dire Ward over in the Radiant Juggle. Actually, an additional one going to be placed a little bit further down, so continuing to look for these charges, but RTK going to end up cancelling once again. There is a medallion picked up on this Visage, so it looks like Ehome might be considering a pick off into a Roshan, or just a straight up smoke into Roche at the moment. For now, ZYF just going to be cleaning up some Ancients. We do have a smoke coming out of LGD. Gonna try and use this shiny new puck Blink Dagger to good use. They swing one way, but they realize that everybody is missing off the map at the moment from Ehome. And thinking that they might be over in the Roshan pit, they're going to change course and swing over that way, maybe still leading the charge here. It just looks like Ehome are going to consider going for this, but they're actually getting a little bit split up. 3 heroes up, 2 to the east. The Fish are going to break up this fight nicely. Lamb and DDC both going to go down almost immediately. The nice call down coming in as well. MMY being focused on the back lines, but I think he's more than okay if his team manages to find the rest of the kills on the front. They get the Doom out over onto the Lifestealer and unable to do anything. LGD also cleaning up both of the familiars there, and they're actually going to be the ones who... they're not going to be the ones who consider going and taking Roshan, but they do end up being the ones to take that fight and walk away with a pretty significant bounty. Maybe spots at RTK, but just going to be one little plink for his troubles. And at the very least, Ehome get the 1 kill and get that little bit closer to the Orchid on the Queen of Pain, which is definitely the one big pickup that they've got coming up soon. Insult to injury, Dyer's Courier is... Where did it die? Okay, I need to change my courier hotkey real quick. What was that about? Oh, it died to the Ancients? Really? Man, that is just bad luck for Ehome. I guess somebody smoking or something as the courier flew past, but I don't know how else it went down over there. But Ehome, undeterred by the lost team fight, are still just going to head straight on over into the pit, use their medallion to start cleaning up Roche. Looks like LGD, despite probably knowing what's going on, are just going to end up trading the tier 1 for the Aegis here, as maybe pulls off a cute little play and does duck in and grab that Invis rune. ZYF looks like first big item for him. More than likely just going to be your SNY coming out. And they are going to end up giving over that Aegis to the Queen of Pain. So Aegis and Orchid coming up soon. Both very big pickups for the Queen of Pain here. Charge actually coming up top, but I don't think RTK has any intention of following through with this one. And yeah, just getting a little bit further over into the jungle to grab some additional fun. So Queen of Pain still leading the way in terms of net worth. We're not quite back to parity on net worth or experience, as Ehome level things out a little bit and stem the bleeding at 1k net worth and about 1k experience. I think ideally for them, they'd like to use this Orchid to burst down either the Doom or the Puck. The only issue with that is that Yao can actually buy Guardian Greaves really early on here. And that could be a pretty good way for him to be able to deal with the Queen of Pain Orchid, if for whatever reason it starts getting targeted towards him. At the moment he has picked up the point booster, so it looks like he's just going to be working towards the Aghanim Scepter, and the Guardian Greaves are going to take a little bit longer. It is a really expensive recipe at 1650, so definitely not always worth grabbing immediately after your Arcane Boots and your mech, but this seems like a game where there's definitely quite a bit of value in having it. Of course, the Dispel only works on yourself, doesn't help any of your teams. Doesn't help any of your teammates if they happen to get silenced up. And DDC, maybe a little bit of mismicro here. Coil's going to end up being dropped down in 2 along with the silence call down. Flying in as well. We've got the Sonic Wave over the top of everybody, but CTY tanking up a bunch of spells is going to end up being doomed, but that's going to be the signal for Ehome to charge right into the rest of this fight. They're trying to kite back to the Mass Serpent Wards, but they're just about to fade. LGD have lost 2. RTK a little bit low as Xiao and Yao try to find some more kills, but looks like RTK gonna Glimmer Cape through and be just fine. No bash this time around, and Yao is going to be able to TP out under a bunch of Ehome auto attacks. Overall fight ends up being 3 for 1 plus the Aegis, but CTY tanking the Doom and ends up being well worth it for him there. He's got his Orchid now complete, and as much as that looked alright for LGD, the Spirit Breaker is just so damn tanky that he coiled, he broke the coil, ran out of the call down, and was still able to re-engage absolutely no problem. And with the Glimmer Cape, I actually have no idea how LGD kill him. You know, pretty much all of their damage for the time being is magical. So Until Sylar actually starts picking up some farm and picking up some items. The Spirit Breaker is nigh on immortal. CTY just gonna get his Orchid delivered relatively soon. Has another 1400 gold on top of that, so could see the beginnings of a BKB or an Aghanim Scepter coming out for him pretty quickly. Lifestealer has picked up that Sanj. After that last fight, do we have the beginnings of a Blink Dagger on either Earthshaker or Shadow Shaman? No, MMY at the moment only just sitting on 600 gold. Some Arcane Boots over on the Earthshaker for the time being, but not a whole lot of progress either way there. Another smoke coming out from Ehome, making their way down towards bot. Tier 1 tower still pretty healthy, and a glyph still available. TP scroll on the Lifestealer, ready to jump in as the rest of his team engages from behind. They're going to try and bait out some spells using this Queen of Pain illusion, and they might be able to get a little bit. They only get the Waning Rift, so no Doom used here, but they're charging through, looking for Yao. Nice Fisher along with the Hex, counter-initiating for the time being, but Sylar caught in the middle of everything. Will be able to use the call down, but RTK just keeps on bashing away stick charges, keeping him healthy, but CTY has something else to say about that. The Sonic Wave cooling down in just a second, but Ehome continuing to find kills. Yao attempts another TP out with some Fisher space opened up by Earthshaker, but it's not going to be enough, and Ehome will end up claiming 2 kills. Looks like Mass Serpent Ward's stolen in the midst of all of the chaos as well, so nicely done there by Lamb, and Ehome starting to drag the game back little by little through these. Well, not even drag the game back, they're still ahead. I mean, they're just starting to win the team fights that they when the last couple were losses for them. Lifestealer ends up being doomed, but doesn't really care about it all that much. Just able to continue chasing through in the fight, and he's looking just fine. And Doom is honestly not all that threatening with the Glimmer Cape on RTK. This seems to be the biggest item of the game right now for Ehome. I was talking about the Queen of Pain Orchid, but this is definitely having a really big impact as well. We're gonna load up the Lifestealer bomb and look for a charge, but looks like are gonna end up thinking twice. Maybe lives through and does manage to grab his Yule Scepter now, so his farm is still progressing pretty well. Yao has picked up his Ogre Club, so the beginnings of the axe for him, but Sylar continues to be on the receiving end of all of the punishment from LGD. Yao TPing in, but let's see if they can get any kind of punish off. Yao8 is here, RTK still pretty tanky, maybe trying to find a good target for a Dream Coil. Fisher getting dropped as well. Yao tanking up these familiar drops, and looks like they just want to try and disengage if they can, but Lamb with the stolen Fisher is going to start turning things around a little bit. CTY on the backlines as well, right clicks down MMY. Yao still fairly tanky, but another Soul Assumption is going to seal the deal on him, and that is going to be an additional 3 kills for Ehome, as the Spirit Breaker just tanks through everything, eats the Doom, absolutely no problem, and Ehome going to be able to claim the tier 2 tower as their bounty. They're just going to keep on rolling. LGD have no Doom. They're all still pretty healthy. Earn charges, healing them back up. They can use the open wounds if people need some healing. There are still tier 2s in the other lanes, so I think pushing high ground is a little bit of a stretch right now, but I'm gonna grab all that farm. There's a mech now completed on the Visage. Rubik probably getting something. It's a second Glimmer Cape. And oh, yeah, I don't know how you kill anybody on Ehome now. It's seeming like a bit of a tough ask. Doom, having gone down again, is gonna struggle to finish up this Ags. MMY looks like not gonna end up being a Blink Dagger for him. Looks like probably just working towards a Force Staff right now. Gyrocopter, he's got nothing. Needs his... Still needs the entire Mithril Hammer to be able to finish up his BKB. So, and even once he has that, I think he's far enough behind the curve right now that this rank 2 Quapult, and almost rank 3 Quapult, for crying out loud, is this gonna slice through him. Oh, actually, okay, Gyrocopter's got his BKB. Didn't check the courier. My bad. Sylar looking a little bit healthier, but still definitely needs to pick up some damage items if Ehome, well, if LGD have any hope of winning team fights from this point forward. Can Spirit Breaker actually support the new Glimmer Cape with 130 mana cost? I guess so. Everything else is pretty cheap, so I wonder if ROTK wishes he'd completed his wand maybe for that little bit extra. But he definitely needs to be discerning with his use of this Glimmer Cape, otherwise he's not going to have enough mana for a second charge or even to get off another strike in these fights. LGD looks like maybe working towards an Aghanim Scepter at the moment. And in general, just still trying to find that teamfight initiation and start turning things around a little bit. But Ehome have been really good with their ward placement so far, and they're actually going to be the first one to smoke in here. They lift up maybe. It looks like they are going to be able to burst down the puck. Manages to Yules himself. Will be able to phase shift into the blink out. Maybe surviving for the time being. CTY still looking for the kill, blinking forward aggressively, but he's backed up by his new BKB, so not too worried about getting caught out here. And nicely done there, but nicely done there. Fortunately, maybe is the one on the front lines, and LGD not going to end up losing anyone at the end of the day. Roshan going to be back up in about a minute's time, and well, it's just LGD trying to hang on at the moment. The high ground is still going to present a pretty difficult obstacle, I think, for Ehome, and it's still far from over. There's a full HP tier 2 on top, pretty much, and a full HP tier 2 on mid, so LGD still have a couple of opportunities to find that perfect teamfight initiation and jump in and maybe get the Doom off on the Queen of Pain and win a fight that way, but CTY is being pretty careful with his positioning, and the Doom just stops the Queen of Pain from destroying you. It doesn't actually necessarily kill her with these multiple Glimmer Capes over on Ehome. But LGD, 4-man smoke, looping around from the side, Observer Ward, gonna get a little bit of vision, Lamb and DDC, so they're the ones gonna be running up onto the high ground. The silence comes out along with the Coral dropped on 2. They do have that mech buying them a little bit of space, and in comes ZYF. Lamb not even dead yet, the Glimmer Cape turning this one around for him, and MMY in a lot of trouble. Yao trying to retreat up onto the high ground, but a few more auto attacks are gonna be the end of him. Lamb still alive, and Sylar trying to retreat on the back lines. Gets the charge diverted over, pops the BKB, but they've got the bash, they've got the Nether Strike, and Sylar won't even be able to get off a single spell before he falls. Just the gold on these two supports. You would think that, oh, okay, it's Visage and Rubik. It's not who we were necessarily looking for, but at least it's some free gold. When you are this far behind, even the supports are unfortunately not free gold for 4 heroes on LGD. I guess this is a little bit of an argument that LGD do need to maybe diversify their assets a little bit in terms of magical damage versus physical damage. And this is maybe the one drawback of the Gyrocopter as your one position, since one position is normally going to be your big source of physical damage. This game, Glimmer Capes are just totally wiping out LGD. Maybe scouting things out over by the Roshan pit. Gonna see if he can make a big play and steal the Aegis potentially, but Familiars are already hurting him away, and Aegis is comfortably over in the hands of the Lifestealer. Queen of Pain went down in the midst of that last fight, so they did at least get something out. I don't actually quite know how CTY went down there. Didn't even catch it during the fight. But okay, so LGD at least gets something out of that disaster underneath the mid tier 2, but I think things are still definitely not looking good on the metrics. Down by 10k net worth, 15k experience. Ehome are just slaughtering them at the moment. Queen of Pain with another 1k gold up, Lifestealer with the Basher complete and another 1.4. We've got the BKB on top of the Glimmer Cape now for RRTK, so he is actually totally unkillable at this point. And well, for LGD, what can they do? I guess they just defend high ground. They are going to have the Aghanim Scepter up on the Doom relatively soon, so what can end up happening here? RTK charging down towards bot, maybe just doing a little bit of split pushing and trying to finish up his Aghanim Scepter. As Ehome come a knocking on mid lane. RTK has another charge up, can rejoin his team pretty quickly. And I think Ehome actually just going to load up the Queen of Pain, jump in, looking for Yao, pops off the mech, but still sounds up, and it's only going to take a few auto attacks. And one bash to get this kill. Sonic Wave flies through, catches on 3. Everybody on LGD still tanking through for the time being, and maybe is going to try and go in for an initiation, but RTK charges in from the other side of the map, and a Stolen Fisher flies through. Everybody on LGD stunned up. They're going to lose 4, as Ehome have barely a scratch on them. Lamb takes a little bit of damage, but looks like he's going to end up being just fine. And onto the tower they will go. Illusory Orb flying through. Maybe does the best that he can to try and shoo Ehome away, but it looks like this time around they are going to be coming up onto the high ground for real. Aegis is still up for 3 minutes. So this could even be multiple lanes of racks, and at this point I struggle to see how LGD are going to win the fight. They need the Doom to land on somebody, but he's got no Blink Dagger to get in, and maybe needs to find the initiation of a lifetime here, I think. It's going to be tough. Does have his Aghanim's Dream Coil to back him up, so it's definitely something to keep in mind moving forward, but Ehome gonna grab that tier 3 and just back themselves up. They've got a bunch of gold to spend, so... And they've got a Queen of Pain ultimate cooldown to wait for, so it looks like they are actually gonna just have to go and wait those out. And what other items are we gonna be seeing? We've got a 1600 gold for an Aghanim Scepter on DDC. And... yeah, I guess I was getting a little bit ahead of myself when I said 2 lanes of racks, so my bad on that one. The one big contributing factor to that is that Ehome go in and they drop all these spells and LGD get nothing off, so there's a little bit of a discrepancy right now in terms of Doom being up, and Dream Coil being up, and Sonic Wave being down, so... yeah, probably... yeah. Anyway. Bit of an oversight on my part, but... LGD do manage to pick up a DD rune on Sylar and grab a little bit of farm for him, so... might actually be able to grab a damage item before this game is out. Yao will be able to grab his Ags pretty quickly as well, so it's definitely going to be a nice grab for him. But it looks like ZYF is going to be able to grab... it's probably going to just finish the Abyssal Blade, honestly. A lot of the time I think you'd see the AC as the choice from the Lifestealer after picking up the Basher, but I think it's totally worth it if you can just drop the Abyssal Blade on the Gyrocopter or the Puck, even the Doom for crying out loud. And yeah, it is going to end up being the Abyssal Blade for your Lifestealer.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So Sylar realizing that this is not a time to hold anything back. You got to go big or go broke. I'm just going to pick up the Demon Edge for some damage here. I don't know if he's going to be able to get to a Rapier, but I think that definitely has to be in the back of your mind if you're in this situation as LGD. 2-2 falls. Aegis is just about to be reclaimed, but it looks like Ehome undeterred. Just gonna go for a smoke and charge right back down the lane, hoping to catch LGD napping at the wheel. But no, LGD not falling for it. Oh, Sylar pokes his head outside of the base, and RTK looks for the charge, but looks like the rest of the team a little bit too far away for him to consider going in on that one. They're not too far away, however, and they will be rejoining them pretty soon. Sylar gonna get that Abyssal Blade dropped on his head, and down he will go. Yao's silenced up. Can he get anything off? Pops the mech, but that's gonna be the end of him. Double kill for CTY as we've got crossed fissures through the fight, and LGD, they're gonna tap out. Call the GG here in game 1, and we are going to be heading to our final game for round 2 here. CTY even going to blink in, put down the bottle. Why not? I'm just having a little bit of fun right as the game ends. So, biggest thing was really just the aggressive tri-lane. The support choices of LGD end up being punished, and I guess it does go to show that the Gyrocopter might not be the 100% safe first pick. I think it is not necessarily about the Gyrocopter pick, and it's more about the supporting cast, but nicely drafted there by RTK. And I wonder if that was part of the discussion when he chewed up all of that reserve time right at the very start, if they were hoping to just navigate the draft in such a way that they could go and run that aggressive tri-lane and keep things shut out that way. But that's going to wrap it up for this game. We're going to jump into the lobby for the next very, very quickly. Thank you all for watching the MarsTV Dota 2 League. It's been great casting for you so far this evening, and I hope you'll join me for the final game.
Most boys and girls have fun using drums. They like to play and sometimes move with the music. Drums are hitting instruments. Listen to these different kinds of drums. 1, 2, 3. Bass. Cymbals. The snare drum. And finally, tom-tom.
And those are only some. The list is almost endless, but to make it short and quick, it's something noisy that you hit with a stick.
I want you to listen very carefully for the drum.
Ready to listen? Here goes.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It is our last game of the evening here for the MarsTV DoTA 2 League.
Reserve
And
time.
as we load ourselves in, we find LGD's Spot Challenge. They've had a great run so far, but Ehome gonna hold them up in the first game of this 2-game series. And gonna look to see if they can come out big in their very first game of the MDL with a 2-0 against LGD, the current bracket leader.
Radiant team.
Well, let's get into the draft without too many interruptions. We've got Lion and Tidehunter as the Ehome bands, as LGD are going to be sticking to their guns and getting rid of the Undying and the Spirit Breaker. And Ehome kind of flipping things on their head a little bit compared to what we've been seeing over the last couple of games. Of course, we've been watching a lot of LGD, and a lot of things are being conforming to their style, but Ehome are here to throw a spanner in the works, and well, who better to do that than ROTK. So in terms of heroes making it through, there is still that Gyrocopter, the Earthshaker that we've been seeing a lot, and Lena as well, I think, is one of the notable picks to point out here for Ehome. It's something that they might look at moving forward, but cannot look past the Rubik, and it seems, even if it's only for a little while, we are returning to the days of first overall pick Rubik. Didn't really receive too many substantial changes in the previous patch. I think the only change was that Null Field now affects creeps. Of course, stuff like Arcane Boot, mana cost change, etc., and some Aghanim Scepter buffs all benefit him, but it's all a little bit... I think it's just partially to do with the playing field being leveled a little bit in terms of supports, and we are drifting towards a more team fight and more push-oriented meta, which is where Rubik does tend to thrive a little bit more. LGD gonna stick to their guns, still have faith in the Gyrocopter pick, but this time around they've got the Visage, and I think it should be a little bit unlikely that Ehome are able to put together a better tri-lane versus tri-lane than this Visage Gyrocopter combo that LGD have right now. So aggressive tri-lane probably off the table, but Ehome still have other things that they can look towards moving forward here. And I wonder exactly how they're going to be approaching this game. We've seen the Lena and, again, Lena and the Quap both be quite successful in bursting down the Gyrocopter and preventing his longevity in these team fights, just being able to burst through BKB. In the case of the Lena, once you got your Aghanim Scepter up, but I think definitely something to throw out there as an option, and Ehome will again start to dip into their reserve time a little bit here as we move forward in the drafts. So Rubik definitely going to be played as a support. I would be shocked to see anything else. The Shadow Fiend, if they want it, probably needs to be taken now, I would guess. LGD could try and sneak it through the pool into the second phase for themselves, since they do have the next pick coming out of this one, and we'll see if Ehome wanna pick that one up. We've got a couple of people disconnecting and reconnecting to the game, but none of them are the drafters. So this is RTK just having a little bit of a think tank with his team as to what they're gonna pick, and it is gonna end up being that Shadow Fiend. Otherwise, I think they would have had to ban it, and they get the valuable hero for themselves. It's a hero that doesn't really lose mid. And they save themselves a ban. moving forward. So nice little bit of work there.
10 seconds
Are going to end up banning out the Storm Spirit. Still showing some respect to maybe. And Enchantress also going to be removed here once again by LGD. Totally unwilling to let Ehome get that early aggressive option going for themselves. And could be a little bit of a problem depending on what LGD have in mind for mid. The mids that we've been seeing maybe piloting recently have been fairly susceptible to ganks, I would say, outside of the puck. So I think banning out the Enchantress makes a lot of sense. And it looks like it's just going to be a little bit more of a maybe hate train, as his Dragon Knight is also going to end up being removed. So the puck is still there. There's still a Queen of Pain. I'm pretty sure that he plays a decent amount of Brewmaster as well, but I don't know if you want to be picking that too early, especially into a Rubik and an Ehome roster that still has the opportunity to pick up another big lockdown support in the lineup. So we'll see what ends up happening. In terms of heroes for LGD, not 100% sure who's going to be playing what, or who's going to be playing the Visage, I guess in particular. Probably a little bit greedy to go for something like the Enigma here, so I think that's probably off the table. Especially since we've already seen that Ehome are willing to punish you for a draft that's even a little bit greedy, and I feel like the Enigma would probably end up going the same way. And also, same story, Enigma versus Rubik. Do you really want to risk it? So, we'll see what ends up happening. What are we going to see? Okay, so we've got Earthshaker is the ban. LGD just going to go into the Clockwork pickup, so it looks like that's just going to be their off lane here. Also another hero that you're not always too happy about playing against Rubik, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's more just laning oriented than anything. I think this is where you could be a little bit afraid if you're LGD, if Ehome gear up for a full-on 5-man confrontation. And this is going to be the first time that I've seen Winter Wyvern in 6.84, but are going to have that new addition to the Captain's Mode roster making his way through. And I think somebody tweeted at me with the effect of Winter's Curse like a minute ago before this pick happened, so I don't know what that's about, but there you go, Alan. You're on point with the Winter's Curse, and also pretty good at dealing with pesky BKB carries like the Gyrocopters. So it looks like that might be the play here from Ehome. All of the cast ranges on all of Winter Wyvern's abilities are totally crazy. They're probably not getting too much value out of the Cold Embrace here just yet, since LGD do have quite a lot of Magical Burst, but you could put somebody under against the Familiars, and that's still going to be pretty happy with that overall. So it looks like Ehome. I'm honestly, I've played Winter Wyvern like 10 times, and I've never really seen it picked. So I'm just excited to see what Ehome get up to Winter Wyvern. Got up to with Winter Wyvern this game. I'm losing it, guys. It's 8.5 hours of continuous casting, and it's starting to show a little bit. But Winter's Curse, of course, going to be great for that. It did get changed in the last patch for those of you who aren't keeping up. So Winter's Curse does actually reduce damage on everybody that isn't the main target. So anyone who's forced to go and beat on whoever is actually Winter's Curse has 70% damage reduction. I think it's mainly to deal with the fact that Winter's Curse was kind of Primal Roar and Vacuum and Black Hole kind of all in one. So at least now you're not getting punished as much for all being grouped up and auto-attacking your ally, but it could still prove to be a bit troublesome here. The other thing I guess to mention for the Cold Embrace is it is a really good pushing ability. You can throw it down on the creep that's getting hit by the tower and keep all of your creeps alive and build up a pretty substantial creep wave to continue pushing. And Juggernaut definitely plays into that as well. Did not get changed all that substantially in the last patch, from what I remember off the top of my head. So still definitely a very good pushing carry on the whole. And we've been seeing a lot of Lifestealer as a hero with built-in magic immunity to be dealing with all of the the magical burst that people have been front-loading in the lineups, and well, Juggernaut definitely fits the bill there as well, being able to survive with both the Blade Fury and to get through with the Omnislash. I also wonder how Omnislash works with the familiars now, since the change. Obviously, they can't take physical damage anymore, and I'm guessing that the slashes don't actually count as attacks, so that could actually be a little bit weird. At the same time, Juggernaut Omnislash instantly kills neutrals now, so that I have no idea how that interaction works, and if somebody wants to test it real quick for me, I'd be very appreciative. I don't even know if it bounces to familiars anymore. Have not seen Visage for a very long time, but I'm sure we'll figure it out once we get ourselves a little bit further in. Phoenix is going to end up being the ban here for LGD, as Ehome are still definitely looking for their offlaner, and LGD fishing for a secondary support. It is going to end up being the Vengeful Spirit banned by Ehome. What is actually left in the pool here? You want somebody relatively item independent, if you can get it. Shadow Demon would probably be not too bad, get themselves a defensive disruption potentially, but no, LGD are going to go for a slightly greedier option, as they do end up grabbing the Sand King. So they've put together a really potent AoE teamfight, Burst Strike, Call Down, Sonic Wave, etc., but the question is going to be if that's going to be enough burst. I mean, they've also got Soul Assumptions firing off, so the magical burst is crazy, but we've got Shadow Fiend rushing towards a BKB probably as quickly as he can. And if you don't finish a hero off, the Cold Embrace is going to come in, the Healing Ward's going to get dropped down, and life could get pretty difficult from that point forward. Ehome will also be picking up the Darkseer, so I think this is our third Darkseer appearance in 8 games today. And looking forward to seeing what exactly Ehome are going to be getting up to with that here. I think the main idea is just to vacuum everybody on top of the Winter's Curse target, which is honestly not too bad an idea here. So we'll see if LGD are going to be able to play around that successfully. Gyrocopter, of course, going to be getting a first item BKB, but he's probably going to be the recipient of the curse, and everybody else is definitely not going to have magic immunity. So that could be very, very scary when it comes to the team fights, and we'll see. Ehome don't have any other initiation outside of that, so it could be tough, but as we talked about, counter initiation potential from Cold Embrace and a Healing Ward getting dropped down is a pretty big deal. So let's get ourselves into this final game of the day. Ehome versus LGD here for the Mars DoTA 2 League. And over on Ehome, we have CU or ZYF on the Juggernaut. We've got DDC on Rubik, Lamb handling the Winter Wyvern. We've got Virgo or CTY on the Shadow Fiend, and Darkseer being handled by ROTK. We've got LGD, Jiao on the Sand King, Sylar on the Gyrocopter, maybe this time around he's going to be on the Queen of Pain on the mid lane, and we've got MMY on Visage. Last but certainly not least is the little rocket man himself. It's going to be Yao on the Clockwork in the off lane. So we've got MMY with about 1 million sentries. By 1 million I mean 3. Making his way up towards the top side of the map, so definitely dewarding on the brain at the moment. And Yao even passed a sentry to start out this game, so it looks like that's going to be the one thing that he has going for him, to block out some wards or maybe remove a lane ward from Ehome. They've probably got observers as well, yeah, at least the one getting placed down on the top side of the map, but looks like no second observer ward for the time being, so okay, Yao's just going to have to do his best with the sentry ward to start things out. Bottom rune is going to end up being camped up by Ehome. Looks like that one's going to be going to CTY, maybe quite easily able to claim the top rune for himself. And even Jiao going to come in and help out with a little bit of a block on his Sand King. The same exact story for DDC. And I think they've both got the same exact item build as well here. We've got some donated tangos, a clarity, and some boots of speed. Maybe does end up getting the slightly better block overall, so props to Jiao on that one. But what is going to end up happening here? Maybe off to a little bit of an early lead. I don't even know if it's worth watching the early stages of this lane all that much, because I feel like even if Shadow Fiend gets totally trashed, the hero's just going to catch up. So Darkseer, meanwhile, in the off lane, not getting the best start. LGD actually get their safe lane into a great position right here at the corner. And MMY with his lane ward making it very difficult for RRTK to approach. He's going to try and sneak in amongst his creeps here so that he has something to lob an Ion Shell onto, but looks like LGD every single time he tries to make a move are going to make life a little bit tough. Jiawei has stacked up the small camp here, but I don't even know if he's going to pull it. It does seem like a little bit of a dangerous move against the Darkseer, but they've lost control of the wave a little bit with the double range creep, so they do actually need to run a pull here. And it looks like RTK is going to get a little bit of something, though he's also getting a little bit of Rocket Barrage right up his tush right now. In terms of mid, CTY still not doing all that amazingly, but Raise spam going to start coming out and actually driving maybe back a lot. A couple more auto attacks and a long range raise might seal it. Maybe does not have a salve, but there is one being delivered right this second as I say that. So gonna tip this lane back towards himself. Meanwhile, top lane RTK a little bit too far forward. He's gonna end up going down maybe on mid. Does also manage to finish off CTY and the Queen of Pain. That HP reset off the salve getting delivered proves to be just enough to live through that. I mean, only having 50 HP remaining, but gets the kill, and that's going to be his bottle being delivered in just a second. Needs to be careful, though. Lamb coming in from the side with the Splinter Blast. Comes out of nowhere and finishes off the Queen of Pain. Oh, that was some sneaky stuff from your Winter Wyvern, but okay, goes to show some of the potential of this hero, and well, it goes to show that people are just not necessarily thinking about everything that this hero can do right now. So Lamb comes in, easy kill on maybe. He's going to be bringing in an Observer Ward with himself this time around, so a little bit of extra vision to scout any future Winter Wyvern ganks, but very nicely played there by Lamb. Meanwhile, Juggernaut, nothing too surprising just yet. Going to be working towards some phase boots. Don't know if we're going to see too much of an adjustment compared to the 6.83 build. Mask of Madness did get nerfed, but I think still a really good pickup for your Juggernaut here, so we'll see what ends up happening. And meanwhile, CTY needs another 2 last hits to be able to get his bottle here. Has enough for 2 raises, so that should be that complete for him. Yao doing pretty decently in the offlane and the Clockwork at the moment, level 2. And RTK, after that death, is going to start making his way through the jungle, though needs to make sure that he doesn't die again to the Centaur here. Yeah, looks like he's going to be okay. Is he going to try and man up here, or is he going to wait for the Tango regen to heal him up? Okay, looks like the Tango regen is the answer. And DDC running over to mid lane a little bit right now. 4-minute runes are about to be popping up. So we'll see if we have aggressive moves from either team down towards that. Jiawei looks like he's going to be making his way down. Has a single stack of neutrals off to the side right now, but does definitely want to get that second point up in the Sandstorm before he clears. So maybe gets the bounty. Looks like haste is going to be passed over to CTY. Sylar doesn't have his Bassi actually up here on top, but they're still gonna run a single pull and try and get some damage on the tower just to force RTK back. Unfortunately, he's really low and just walking back to the fountain right now, so it looks like LGD should be able to get most of the health of this tower. It looks like they didn't actually single pull, they're just pushing with the wave. So don't have the doubled up creep wave. Do need to try and tank this to keep the siege creep alive if they can. And yeah, it looks like they're going to be able to, so. Looks like there should be the tier 1 tower going down LGD's way. Nice little bit of gold going to the Queen of Pain and the Clockwork off in the other lanes as well once they get this one down, though. Well, Lamb's going to come up with the Splinter Blast. And with rank 2 on that, might actually put an end to the push here. A couple of Ion Shells are going to start coming in. So, okay. Lamb has made plays mid, he's made plays top. I think they're still probably going to end up losing the tier 1, but it does make it a bit more of a commitment from LGD. MMY still has all of these sentries, so I don't know exactly what the plan was. I think he just wanted to make sure that even if they sentry warded the small camp, the Sand King wouldn't totally stall, because they've got pretty greedy supports in the Visage and the Sand King, and if they have a bad early game, then the scaling for both of them is going to be totally off-kilter for the rest of the game. So I feel like part of this is just making sure that nothing is blocked, and that Sand King is going to be able to get that Blink Dagger, because this is a slightly risky pick, going for the last pick Sand King when you've already got the the Visage on the lineup, but looks like Xiaowei should be just fine. Gonna start stacking up and clearing things out a little bit. Maybe gets lifted mid, able to blink away in time, but Lamb is waiting off to the side. Bottle Sips keeping him alive a little bit longer, but DDC is gonna close the gap with the auto attacks, and it looked like maybe actually went blinking in there and just got lifted and raised. He did have the level 6, so he's probably looking for some kill pressure with the Sonic Wave, but DDC's been chilling out mid lane for quite some time now, and do end up managing to find that turnaround. Has translated into some farm on Yao, who's now reaching level 5, so it's not without its trade-offs, but still looking pretty good. Winter Wyvern, Lamb actually going to be able to pick up his level 6 pretty soon, so he's doing really nicely. 1k gold on your Sand King, double stack about to be turned into a triple here, so he's about probably a minute or two out from getting his Blink Dagger up. And that's definitely when he's probably going to look to get active, along with this Clockwork, who's probably going to get level 6 at around the same time. And what do we have picked up for the Juggernaut so far? Looks like he might actually be going for either a casual bracer or a drum here. And his DDC is still just chilling mid, having the time of his life, ready for maybe to try and get something aggressive done. Some warding and some counter warding going on at the moment. DDC gonna run forward and look for the lift into a triple raise, but maybe spotting things out with this Observer Ward over on the cliff is not gonna fall prey to DDC's gank. And well, there's a gank of his own coming in around from the side. Xiaowei and MMY both smoked up, looking for an opportunity here. Shadow Fiend feeling pretty safe with his Rubik sitting behind him, but 3 heroes might be more than he can deal with. Looks like he's a little bit suspicious and is positioning himself nicely over on the right-hand side of the cliff, making it very difficult for the Sand King to get in here. Presses forward a little bit. Is that going to be enough to get the kill? Nope. Just boots, or just brown boots on the Sand King. And the smoke on smoke on smoke. Ehome coming in for this 8-minute rune. Lamb still hidden, no level 6 just yet. And would have needed the lift and the Omnislash to go off at pretty much the exact same time to get that kill there, I think. So won't be able to, though. Looks like they have more economically minded goals here, as they are going to come in and try and deal Xiaowei's stack. He's going to be forced to blink down onto the low ground. They do still manage to steal the majority of this farm, but at the very least the Sand King stays alive. Xiaowei is furiously pinging, hoping that they're going to come punish him for trying to get this kill. Lamb, is he going to be able to escape? Just pops the Cold Embrace for now. And it looks like he's going to end up tanking the gank, as LGD bring everybody in to try and defend that stack. A little bit of revenge there for Xiaowei, as he's just going to be able to go back to farming up, but I think probably ends up being worth it for Ehome at the end of the day. They give away 400 gold. Actually, that's quite a bit of gold. Though they did get the majority of the last hits on the big creeps there. Surge forward is Juggernaut. There's a little armadillo in tow. Calden is going to end up being dropped, but ZYF just going to take a step back. Sylar probably calling for some assistance here, but MMY is in the neighborhood, so it looks like that is going to be the end of the dive for the Juggernaut for the time being. Xiaowei also not too far away, getting spotted out since it is daytime at the moment, and looks like that's going to be the end of the aggression on the top lane here for Ehome. I like that ZYF is getting active and trying to make some use of this Omnislash, though unfortunately hasn't really been able to find anything just yet. Meanwhile, Shadow Fiend's just been chilling. Raze is coming out mid, but just the duration of the lift not going to be enough to get that kill on the Queen of Pain. Maybe, however, 32 CS to the Shadow Fiend's 66. I don't know if SF had the opportunity to clear out some stacks, but there is a pretty clear net worth difference between the two heroes at the moment, and maybe probably not snowballing nearly as hard as he would have hoped. Lamb still trying to finish up this level 6, but it looks like his team's going to give him a little bit of a chance down bottom lane to grab this one. Yao hooks in onto some creeps, and maybe he's just going to walk out into the lane, so it looks like Winter Wyvern's going to be absolutely just fine here. And it's actually going to be the 5-man Ehome gank train making its way all the way down to bot. Maybe still a fairly long way up, but feeling pretty safe with his blink available. Clockwork sharing around a couple of bottle charges, I think. But There's nothing too interesting going to be happening. In terms of an overall lead, we're actually sitting at about 1k net worth in LGD's favor as the Sand King continues to get pretty good farm out of the jungle. But experience is in Ehome's camp right now, as they do... Well, they don't actually hold the kill lead, but I feel like they've got the more substantial kills on the whole so far. And there is that Blink Dagger coming up for your Sand King. So, Ehome probably anticipating this, might be thinking that's going to be coming up in a minute or two based on the fact that they stole some of that stack, but we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for this next Sand King gank coming in. Xiao still holding on to his skill point for the time being. Does not have enough mana to Epicenter and Burrow Strike, so may just end up putting the point into the Burrow. And they're even going to be pulling the Gyrocopter away from top lane. They are looking to go in big, but Ehome also making a bit of a sneaky play of their own here. The first point picked up in the presence of the Dark Lord over the Requiem of Souls for the Shadow Fiend, so that they can make their way over into the pit, but LGD pretty close by. Looks like the Queen of Pain suspects what's going on here, going to jump in, looks for Lamb, but out pops 3 heroes from the pit. Xiao is going to come in with the Burst Strike, but we've got the Winter's Curse over onto the Queen of Pain, and she's going to be brought down. However, the call down waiting around the corner. Sylas here as well. Yao hooking in a little bit late. The wall is also being dropped down. Everybody dropping low. CTY does manage to get off the Requiem, but Ehome have lost 4, and Yao able to retreat back through. MMY throws out the Grave Chill, and those familiars are going to be back relatively soon. Xiao 8 is going to be able to dodge the raises as CTY gets over into the fog. Yao still hunting for this kill. He's got the battery assault cooling down, but looks like he's going to call it quits for now. Familiars coming in as well. A Rocket Flare and some familiar auto attacks would be the kill there, but okay, looks like Shadow Fiend is going to be the only one to escape. LGD end up trading 4 for 1 overall, I believe, so great little team fight for them. And Sylar, I think despite going down, does still benefit pretty heavily. Comfortably #1 spot on net worth. Experience is going to be touching down to 0, and a pretty hefty lead as Ehome get punished for that kind of cheeky play. Even if they hadn't, I mean, even if there was no point in presence of the Dark Lord from the Shadow Fiend, you know, even if they just brought more heroes, I feel like if you're LGD, you are already watching out for the Roshan and the Juggernaut. Yes, he doesn't have a Quelling Blade. Yes, he doesn't have... Well, Quelling Blade doesn't affect Roshan now, of course. But yes, he doesn't have a Mask of Madness, so Roshan potential for the Juggernaut is definitely reduced. But I feel like just based on the last patch, it's still something that LGD are keeping in the back of their minds. Poor Xiao 8 is going to come in and drop an Observer Ward right on top of a Sentry. I think the Sentry may have actually still had its few seconds of vision actually enabled, so they know that Observer Ward is there, and they know that there are some LGD heroes in the neighborhood. And Starlar getting pretty close to his BKB right now, as it looks like Ehome gonna give up on the Roshan for the time being and just start pushing things the old-fashioned way. No mech coming out on the Shadow Fiend. Looks like that's actually going to be handled by RTK on the Darkseer, and only a few gold away from completing that one. So, how is CTY actually doing on BKB? Surely this has got to be pretty close. Okay, looks like for now no. MMY does actually manage to get the deny off on the mid tier 1 as well, so more economic damage done to Ehome there. And maybe despite a slow start, is now starting to pick up the pace a little bit on farm. And it's just going to take over things over on top lane, so things did not look good with some of those early deaths, but I think he's now doing just fine. It still does not have the Epicenter at the moment, in fact, just opting to max out the Sandstorm instead. As Ehome are going to bring everybody to bear down bot. Got their mech. Looking to take a pretty convincing team fight here. Burrow Strike comes in. They're trying to burst the Shadow Fiend. Are they going to be able to do the Cold Embrace? Counter initiation. They've still got plenty of magical damage, and the second burst of the cooldown coming in. They do manage to get him, but Yao tanks up a lot of damage from the Requiem of Souls, going back the opposite direction. In comes another Burrow. Xiao making the plays here. RTK walking back through as well, but maybe blinks over the top. ZYF chops off his head with the crit and does manage to find the final turnaround of the fight, as we have a 3-for-2 overall trade. Looks like Xiao might not be done just yet, though. Another Burrow Strike waiting in reserve, but ends up being still a pretty easily won fight for LG there. 800 gold swing in their favor. and about 900 experience as well. So Ehome's still getting a little bit of their own back, but they were looking to push and take a tier 1 tower and take a team fight and win it with their mech, but unfortunately Shadow Fiend just gets totally blown up, and he is a massive source of damage for Ehome at the moment. So really good initiation out of LGD, and I think Xiaowei got like 2 or 3 multi-hero burrow strikes off in that fight with that going down, and well, now he's got himself an Invis rune as well. Knows that there's a sentry over here because his observer ward got dewarded, so he knows at least to avoid that area, and looks like for the time being just going to be sticking with this team. Yao went down pretty early in that fight, unfortunately. Not going to be getting all that much farm, and is actually the poorest hero on LGD at the moment, but I think he's not going to be all that unhappy with the fact that the Visage is sitting on a point booster and a bunch of gold, and the Sand King is totally cruising right now. Looks like it is going to end up being a tier 1 tower, totally uncontested for LGD, as a bit of a byproduct of that last one team fight. Looks like Ehome unwilling to do anything else until they finish up this BKB on the Shadow Fiend, which is still going to take a little bit to complete here. DDC, well, despite not having a whole lot of farm, does at least have some levels to his name, so he is the lowest level overall in the game right now. We've got the rank 2 Omni Slash at the ready for the Juggernaut, so things looking good there. Yeah, but LGD still, I think, very much in control for the moment. The experience is pretty even, and LGD are TPing in heroes to try and hold on to this tier 1 tower here. Is everybody else ready to TP? Sylar actually just bought his BKB and doesn't have enough money for a TP scroll. He can steal MMY's TP off the courier. MMY's TP is on cooldown for 10 seconds. Maybe's TP is ready. And ZYF is coming up the river as quickly as he possibly can. Are they actually going to fight this one?
Radiant's middle tower is
There's a smoke. There's a smoke on the Winter Wyvern. Could back off into the fog and look to do something sneaky there, but it looks like the call is going to be reaffirmed. We are not fighting until this Shadow Fiend has his BKB, and this little bit of farm down bot is going to be enough for him to secure that. Maybe it looks like just working on a first item Aghanim Scepter here, so loading up a little bit of extra burst for him. I mean, as we saw bottom lane, Ehome were so close to being able to turn that around with the Cold Embrace heal and the mech. I think you want to remove all of that possibility by loading in all of this burst. Ehome retreating back as the homing missile comes chasing in, but the rest of the team are going to be able to deal with it. That BKB is now complete. How many points do we have up in the vacuum for RTK? Not quite maxed out just yet, unfortunately, so won't be able to get that full value out of the combo with the Winter's Curse, but should still be able to get at least a little bit of something with that. And MMY gonna have his Aghanim Scepter up before too long. Xiaowei at the moment just sitting on a Ring of Regen. I think this is gonna be a Force Staff, potentially. We'll see what he ends up opting for here. As Ehome are gonna go for a smoke. That BKB is finally complete, and they're gonna redouble their efforts to go and get something done. Are spotting a couple of heroes off to the side, so it looks like not. Are they? Oh wait, are they going for Roshan? Is this the play again? Oh man. Oh, and the familiars are going to come straight in and scout this one out, Ehome. Are they going to try and force this? Surely not. Lamb in a pretty good position up on the side, but does need to be a little bit careful. Xiaowei coming in. Looks like it is going to be that Force Staff for him, but smoke pays no dividends for Ehome, as they're just going to have to back themselves up. There's still tier 1 towers, both top and bot, which are probably gold for them a little bit further down the line, but right now, it looks like they really want that Aegis to be able to secure some of these team fights. They're going to come in mid, do some pretty decent damage to the tier 2. With no glyph available for LGD, there is going to be a TP coming back from MMY. The push will continue down bottom lane as well, but the hookshot comes in from the back lines. Yao not actually connecting on anyone. Finds the creeps in the middle of everything. CTY does manage to get off his BKB off and turn things around. We've got the Winter's Curse over onto Sylar, but not locking things down too much. It is the back lines where ZYF drops off the Omni Slash, but they've only brought down Yao so far. Xiaowei with another blink into a burst strike. He's going to find that kill. RTK now popping off the mech, but ZYF just getting a little bit isolated from his team there, and it is going to end up being a 1-for-1 overall exchange, slightly favoring LGD, and I think also slightly favoring them in the fact that, I don't know, both teams using 10-second BKB charges there, so that is definitely not the biggest thing. But Tier 2 tower did end up taking some damage, actually almost dropped out there, so once Ehome were able to grab this Tier 2 mid, and the Tier 1 up on top lane, that's going to be a nice bit of cash flow, and should help to close this net worth gap a little bit, which is reached out to at a 5k net worth lead in LGD's favor, and about 2k experience for them as well. Meanwhile, maybe is that his Aghanim Scepter being delivered, you better believe it. And also an Ags up for the Visage, so 2 really big pickups for LGD in a very short span of time, and they're also about to get the level 11 on their Visage as well, so big boon coming up for him there. CTY still has plenty of net worth, but just doesn't really feel like it's translating through into teamfight effectiveness just yet. I think this is definitely a game where he considers a Blink Dagger as an item just to be able to go blinking in on top of the Winter's Cursed target, or just even to stay with his Juggernaut in these fights, as ZYF has been playing this really aggressively. CTY has his team waiting up on the high ground, so feeling pretty confident with the positioning. The Winter's Curse does just cool down. RTK now has the full 4 points up in the vacuum, and it looks like LGD not at all interested in defending this 200 HP tower, so we're just going to end up letting it drop. And top tower does end up falling to the Radiant at the same time, so all of that gold now flowing back Ehome's way, and it's going to be a little bit of a spike back. It's all about the initiation, and it's all about the teamfight positioning for the moment. Radiant Vision is a little bit better overall, though both teams playing it pretty similarly, just keeping aggressive wards down on the opposing side of the map, and also just doing their best to place somewhat obscure wards in general as well. Both teams are being pretty diligent with their sentries and making sure that they aren't being scouted, but not able to catch every single one. For Staff for Jawa, it's going to be up pretty soon. Sylar, next big item after the BKB is going to be that HOTD. So a little bit of survivability and lifesteal for him. Does he have a dominated creep at the moment? He does. And that is actually just a range creep from the Radiant, stacking up some Ancients for him right now. And yep, it is going to end up being a Blink Dagger for CTY. So just, they are playing this AoE teamfight combo as hard as they possibly can. Meanwhile, ZYF has just picked up a Manta style. But LGD, big smoke. 4 heroes making their way down towards bottom lane. CTY, first one spotted. Continuing to drift to the side. They are going to spot out the Courier, but not going to end up going for that one. It's ZYF, jumps in, gets off the Omni Slash, bouncing around a little bit. Looks like doesn't do anything to the Familiars. They vacuum back into the wall. They've lost the Clockwork so far, and MMY also end up falling. CTY just standing strong and auto-attacking. Unfortunately, Juggernaut definitely not the hero that they were hoping to find, but they will re-engage. Sylar with the BKB and the Sonic Wave coming out onto 2. CTY manages to drop the ultimate, and the Cold and the Winter's Curse comes out from Lamb, buying a little bit more space. Another hook shot. DDC actually with the stolen hook, making some plays, bringing down the Queen of Pain. Lamb trying to survive with the Cold Embrace, but it looks like the Rocket Barrage is going to be more than enough to kill him off. RTK not done just yet. Also managing to kill off the Sand King and make his escape with the Force Staff. So overall trade ends up being a 4 for... what, a 3 for 4? No, wait, 3 for... What am I doing here? 3 for... I think somebody else died on LGD. It's just not showing up. Yeah, I think MMY probably... Did MMY go down as well? I'm losing the plot a little bit now, but... Overall numbers, at least from these kills, are going to end up slightly LGD favored, as they do manage to bring down the Juggernaut and the Shadow Fiend at the end of the day. It looked like a pretty disastrous fight after the initial 2 heroes went down, but LGD do manage to get a little bit of a turnaround. And really nicely played by Sylar. I think reads the fight really nicely, doesn't commit the BKB, doesn't commit the call down while the Omni Slash is going off. Pops up once all of the immunity from the Juggernaut is down, and then goes to work. So it is still probably going to be a little bit of a lead in LGD's favor, but things moving back the Radiant way over the last couple of minutes. What's Yao got? Just an Ogre Club so far, so it looks like he's going to be working on a BKB. They, unfortunately, I think everybody on LGD just needs to buy BKBs if they can, as luxury items. Getting disabled by the AoE effect on the Winter's Curse is going to be a pretty big deal moving forward. Fortunately for them, still only the level 1, so only the 2.5 second duration at the moment, but it's only going to get better from here. For Lamb. DDC, what's he got? Did manage to pick up that solo kill on the Queen of Pain in the last fight, so a bit of income for him, though looks like not going to be anything too interesting just yet. Roshan still stands at the moment as LGD is going to keep poking their head in a little bit here. 4 staff up on Zhao. He's got his rank 2 epicenter ready to go and could consider making something happen down here in bottom lane. CTY positioned somewhat aggressively, but is going to be able to blink back. Xiaowei continuing the pursuit. DDC going to just drop off the lift. But will get bar struck here. Familiar's coming in as well, looking for the easy kill. Yao gets his hook shot blocked. A little bit awkward as the wall is going to end up splitting up this fight. Salo trying to drop down the call down. Will be able to disengage and come back in. Beautiful Familiar drops and a huge burst strike from Ehome. Catch out all 3. And wipe them off the face of the map. Maybe not done just yet, but the rest of Ehome have already disengaged. Lamb all the way back at the fountain, and the Winter's Curse held the Gyrocopter there for a little bit, but unable to get anything else off. Looks like Omnislash not even used from the Juggernaut. It's actually LGD who are going to be able to go in and look towards this Roshan right now. The Familiars were I think the biggest thing there as well. MMY, perfect drops, hit all 3, set up for the epicenter to come in with the Sand King, and Chug just did absolutely no damage in that fight. This Manta Style looks like didn't even get popped. As much as the Blade Fury should be helping him out in some of these situations, I wonder if the Jug is even going to end up needing a BKB this game. Sylar now far and away your net worth leader, with 4k gold after that fight, and just gonna easily pick up an Eagle Song, and he's got this Ancient stack to clear out, so that's gonna be almost the butterfly completed for him. And even though they've been dropping the Winter's Curse on him, Ehome have still really been unable to burst him down. The Omnislash has felt a little bit ineffective from the Juggernaut, and well, the Winter Wyvern's bringing control, but this is the one downside of the hero, that as supports go, she is a little bit light on damage. Kind of the same story for Rubik, without some substantial steals. So that does leave it to the Juggernaut and the Shadow Fiend to have to do all of the damage for the team, and they're just getting controlled so nicely by LGD at the moment. So maybe it looks like he's going to be working on a Hex, just needs the Mystic Staff to go. And Ehome, well, map is about to go dark as this last Radiant Observeroid is just about to fade. Do we have a gem picked up just yet? You better believe it. Visage has that one picked up. And getting some dewarding done, a big reason as to why Ehome are so blind right now. And DDC, the lone defender, is Ehome just going to try and look for a little bit of a trade and see if they can wait out a little bit of this Aegis time.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Looks like LGD don't have too many intentions of going anywhere. There are still tier 2s up in the other lanes. So if they're going for a push right now, it's only going to be the one lane of Rax. And at least in that sense, Ehome do have a pretty good trade threatened right now, but Zoyaf already going to be TPing back, and it looks like LGD are going to be forcing things up onto the high ground. The Familiar's doing good damage. Very difficult for Ehome to do anything about them at the moment, and what else are we going to see here? Familiars are just laying into this tier 3. It's already down to pretty much half HP. Rubik does have a Blink Dagger now, so we got some more big play potential from DDC, especially if he can get his hands on a Burrow Strike, or maybe even a Sonic Wave for maybe.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Bot tower does end up going down, so Helm at long last getting that little bit of gold going their way. But they are still down about 5k net worth and about 7.5k experience right now. What have we got in terms of items coming up? There's 3k gold on the Shadow Fiend, so he can buy something before too long. What does he even go for? Probably considers... can he go for Scotty? The survivability is nice, and I feel like he wants the survivability, but at the same time, the question becomes, okay, are we doing enough damage? Are we using the little bit of lockdown that's being provided by the Rubik and the Winter Wyvern and actually capitalizing on it? The other thing is that he sees the butterfly coming up, or has seen the butterfly on Sylar, and is thinking, okay, man, we need an MKB. And I think Jug still might need to buy a BKB before he can go for one here, so we'll see what ends up happening. RTK poking his head forward into his own jungle here. Omnislash coming out. There's a creep here as well. Yao actually able to pop the Force Staff, and away he will go, dropping the cogs as well, completely blocking everything out. The Rays almost finishing him off, but Yao does survive. If he was really worried, he could have probably hooked to his creeps mid, but looks like the Force Staff cog play is going to be enough to get him out of there safely. And LGD going to use that space created to go and look for this tier 2 up on top. ZYF just going to be able to spin TP away on mid, but Omnislash on cooldown for 1.5 minutes. And LGD, well, unfortunately only about 50 seconds remaining on this Aegis. Looks like not going to be able to go and get too much more done with that, but they do have their Hex now up on the Queen of Pain. And I don't think there are too many more items to be waiting for. Yao, looks like just getting a Gauntlet of Strength. Oh, that's actually just the TP scrolls being brought out to maybe, but there's still a Gauntlet of Strength over on the Courier for Yao. TY doing his best to grab some farm, sitting on a pretty hefty pile of gold right now. I have no idea if he considers saving for buyback at this point, or if he feels like he's just going to have to buy up. It's definitely going to have to be a team decision between him and Juggernaut. Got a gem picked up as well by Lamb. He's also managed to add a Glimmer Cape to his inventory, so should be able to better counter-initiate with the Cold Embrace now. Sort of turning it into an actual disruption instead of just a pseudo disruption here. LGD, Aegis does end up muscling down all 3 tier 2 towers and just kind of preparing themselves for the push up onto the high ground. ZYF still finding some farm in the meantime. 3.6k gold up, and we'll have to see what the item decision is going to end up being from him. Winter Wyvern levels, has managed to reach level 11, so we've got that Winter's Curse level 2 now. And what else is going on for Ehome? Looks like that's about it. TTY is actually going for an Eagle Song, so it looks like it's going to be a Butterfly for his item as well. So no MKB to help deal with the Gyrocopter. And looks like this is going to be the compromise between needing damage for the team and also being able to build up a little bit of survivability. I think the Scotty is probably on the other side of that coin, is a very similar item. Bit of damage, bit of survivability. More on the survivability side, but I feel like this is probably this is an appropriate response from Shadow Fiend here. Other question is what Juggernaut's going to be going for, but looks like he's going to be the one picking up the Monkey King bar as Demon Edge is added to ZYF's inventory here. So both still running pretty aggressively with the items and just going to be relying on RTK and Lamb to hope that they can get this combo off and make some space for them to actually get some right-clicking done. Looks like maybe going to be picking up a Shiva's Guard before too long. Or could honestly even be an AC for the Queen of Pain at this point. Not too bad to start grabbing a little bit of right-click. Gyrocopter has added a Reaver to his inventory, so Titanic very, very close to being completed. And I think for LGD, might just chill out until the next Roshan's back up. About 1 minute to the potential respawn. And I don't think there's any reason to go rushing into the Darkseer wall defending the high ground just yet. So continuing to maintain some semblance of map control for the time being. That Winter Wyvern gem is giving Ehome a bit of control back. And both teams just kind of playing, well, just holding hands at the moment, making sure that nobody gets randomly picked off by some kind of smoke gank squad. But LGD finding an angle in from behind here. Get a little bit of vision off their creeps. The Rocket Flare going to go scouting. They see Lamb, they see DDC, they see TTY. They're going to go hook in onto 4 heroes. Only the Burrow Strike onto DDC here. Looks like he will be bursted down before he can do anything. The Winter's Curse getting dropped onto your Sand King. Won't be able to get the Epi or any further Burrow Strikes off this fight. We've got the Omnislash bouncing through onto the back lines. But Juggernaut just going to be forced to spin and TP out here. Lamb trying to escape with the Glimmer Cape, and looks like he's actually going to be able to. Something else killed the homing missile, but okay, out he pops, and he's gonna end up being brought down. Gem-Atrusite dropped on the ground. Looks like Curry already making its way out to pick up that second gem. So overall fight ends up being 2 for 2. No actual cores dropping in the fight aside from the Clockwork, who went hooking in somewhat suicidally, and that time around Ehome do get a little bit more out of their Jug and their Shadow Fiend. Is that the Monkey King bar completed for Juggernaut? Yep, it is. So surviving through that fight, managing to grab a little bit more farm. Roshan respawn is going to be very soon, actually. 30 seconds to go on that one, so LGD definitely hoping to keep an eye out there. Familiars at the moment are pushing at mid lane, but I think Sylar's probably going to go check the pit right after he clears this up. RTK, Blink Dagger up, still working towards what looks like a BKB at the moment. CTY, Butterfly and 1k gold. Can't really expect him to have too much more after completing that. And Roshan 3-2-1. He's back. Neither team aware of it just yet. We've got some Gyrocopter illusions doing a little bit of scouting for LGD here. His TDC is just going to blink the heck out. Does not want to get hooked. But CTY playing this a little bit more aggressively. Does manage to get a surge, but looks like he's still in a bunch of trouble. One last auto attack for maybe puts him in the grave. And LGD should be able to go and grab Roshan. Absolutely no problem. CTY just caught out in the middle of no man's land. Really, the Gyrocopter illusion scouted the supports. They were out of there. They had punched their ticket, and CTY just kind of getting caught in an awkward position. So this is going to be Roshan going down. This one going to be given to the Queen of Pain. Looks like it might be Sylar picking it up once again. Juggernaut still up to his split pushing antics. But Jowite does manage to find him from the side. Can get this Hex in range. Not just yet. That was only a fraction of a second away from Queen of Pain actually finding him and getting that kill 100% guaranteed. Especially with the Sonic Wave being off cooldown again. Courtesy of the Aghanim Scepter. But no. Aegis is going to be claimed. That's going to end up in the inventory of Sylar. RTK back to farming a little bit as CTY continues to watch from the sidelines for the time being. Yao. Shot at the ready. Going to see a couple of heroes mid, but it is going to be straight into the Winter's Curse. Jowite alive for the time being. And Earncharge going to start healing him back up. So it looks like LGD are just going to continue the push. The Splinter Blast was actually targeted on the Sand King instead of the secondary hero, so they didn't get the full damage on the SK from what I could tell. I don't think it was going to kill him anyway, but little things do definitely add up at this stage of the game if you're Ehome. They're down by 10k net worth, they're down by 10k experience, and there's a full duration Aegis Gyrocopter smacking their buildings at the moment. Along with these familiars, which they are seemingly totally incapable of killing. Sylar taking some damage, it's going to get lifted. Looks like this might be the Aegis popped, forces out the BKB and using the Satanic here. That is a pretty big win for Ehome without the lane of Rax even being down and their glyphs still being up. RTK sizing up this initiation from the side. He's got his blink at the ready. DDC as well. Actually has Burrow Strike stolen out of that initiation on middle lane. If they vac everybody into a Burrow Strike, this fight could actually end up going really badly for LGD. It's actually going to be Xiao who leads out with the Burrow. They jump in, the Sonic Wave connects on nobody, and in comes the counter Burrow from DDC. He goes down to the call down, unfortunately. Won't be able to steal that Sonic Wave. Sylar's still alive, and the Satanic cooling down in 1 second. Requiem of Soul comes out, and the ranged Rax has already fallen. And the familiars go to work, but Ehome able to disengage without losing too much. They do end up using the BKB on the Shadow Fiend, and it does also cost them the wall from the Darkseers, so LGD gonna tentatively poke their heads back up onto the high ground. It looks like they are going to be able to claim this first lane of Rax. Sylar, BKB's cooled down, gets vacuumed over into the wall. But the Burrow Strike comes back in, Shadow Fiend in some trouble, Glimmer Cape along with the Cold Embrace, keeping him alive for the time being, but trapped inside the cogs. As Sylar's going to be able to continue right-clicking through, maybe drop the second Sonic Wave at this fight. They do put the Winter's Curse over onto Yao, but his teammates don't quite beat him down in time. ZYF trying to get into this fight right now, but doesn't really get anything done. DDC blinking forward, they're looking for Sylar, but he's still got the Aegis. His MKB getting delivered in the midst of all of this, and he's just going to pop the Satanic and start right-clicking heroes down. No buyback for the Shadow Fiend, so he's done for 55, and Ehome just trying to spam spells and get the gyrocopter out of the base, but it looks like Sylar is not going anywhere until this base is leveled.
Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack.
And yeah, that is going to be the GG called. So LGD do manage to take at least the 1 game in the 2-game series, and that is going to end their day with a 8-2 record overall, having played 5 matches. So looking pretty good. Ehome, despite having only played 1, are maybe in a position to contest LGD. Of course, going to have to do just as well against all of the opponents that LGD have already faced up until this point, but judging by this game, it does seem like the 2 teams are relatively evenly matched, and Ehome should be doing pretty well moving forward into this competition. So guys, that is going to wrap up a crazy day of games, 9 hours and 20 minutes of pretty much non-stop casting. I hope you guys enjoyed the coverage here for the Mars Dota 2 League. I don't think I'm going to be joining you tomorrow. I think that's going to be Lysander handling the coverage since it's my birthday, so I'm going to be taking a day off. If you guys want to leave me any feedback on the casting, you can email me at basekipdota@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook and Twitter under the name of Basekip. It's been great casting for you guys. Don't forget to check out the ticket. You get all of the qualifier action, all of the playoffs, and a sweet Warlock set for $6. So do consider supporting the tournament in that way. Big thank you to MarsTV for having me on to cast. And of course, a big thank you for all of you guys for tuning in. It's been great casting for you tonight, and I'll hopefully see you next time.
Baby.